we go. Thursday edition of the show. All across America on SportsMap Radio. All over the world on the SportsMap Radio app. Good to be back with you. And Austin, do you notice a difference in the sound of my voice today? Do you notice a uplifting tone to the sound of my voice today? A more energetic vibe? Do you notice it? You know why? Because this morning I woke up and the stomach bug from hell was gone. Gone. If anybody listened yesterday, I sounded like death warmed over. And I made sure everybody knew in advance at the start of the show that I was very ill and that I was playing hurt and that I was doing the show under adverse circumstances because of the illness I was dealing with. Because I didn't want to cancel late on you guys. So I did the show last night despite really being ill. And luckily I woke up this morning and the 24-hour stomach bug that just decimated my insides turned it into like grated cheese. You like that visual, Austin? Do you like that? No? Okay. That is gone. I have survived it. So thankfully I am better and ready to give you guys everything I have for 3 hours tonight. Austin Rodriguez is the Austin you hear me referring to. He is our producer engineer, working things out of Houston. We got a busy show tonight, as we do every night on this program, with NBA playoff positioning still being figured out. We just watched the Miami Heat keep their hopes alive for potentially getting a spot in the top 6 of the postseason, as opposed to having to play their way in through the play-in tournament. So we got that. That is good news, I guess you can say, for the Miami Heat. Philadelphia basically played as if they had 0 to play for because they pretty much have 0 to play for. And you're probably going to get the same in the late game tonight, which means we're not going to have a whole lot of excitement to talk about on the show. Oklahoma City, the game means something for. They are in Utah playing the Jazz. That is the game we will certainly be keeping an eye on because Oklahoma City still has a shot to make it into the play-in tournament if they can basically win these last couple of games. They control their own destiny. So we'll keep an eye on that game tonight. Portland and San Antonio are playing. Nobody cares. It means absolutely nothing. One side note, and we will not discuss this on the show, but all great things and all great wishes go out to my friends at Quinnipiac University out of Hamden, Connecticut. Quinnipiac University tonight is playing in the Frozen Four against Michigan. And that game is tied at 2 with 4:27 to go in the second period. Quinnipiac looking for its first national championship in college hockey. And I remember when that program was literally playing their games in a dingy little tiny high school rink in Hamden, Connecticut at Hamden High School back in the day. And now they have this gorgeous facility up on top of the hill in Hamden. It is one of the crown jewels of the state of Connecticut, and Quinnipiac hockey is 2 wins away from a college hockey national championship. That's about as much as I'll say about it because I realize most of our audience doesn't care, but point of privilege for me to mention that team, I believe still coached by Rand Pecknold, who has been there since the days when they were in that high school hockey rink, to where they are now. Yeah, Rand Pecknold is still the head coach at Quinnipiac hockey. Very cool. And he was there during some lean years. And now he's there when this team is 2 wins away from winning a national championship in hockey. So very cool. Point of privilege. Wanted to mention that at the top of the show. Now I have to start the show on a bit of a somber note tonight. Despite the fact that I am feeling better, despite the fact that I am in an upbeat mood, there are a lot of good things going on, I have to start the show on a somber note today and say something that it's taken me all day to get to a point where I can get in front of a microphone and acknowledge it to our audience, to be able to stand here, well, sit here, as it may be, in front of you. I'm going to look straight into the camera for those of you watching on the video stream on twitch.tv, JasonPage77, on Twitter, at The Back Page. You can watch us live there. On YouTube, the Decibel 88 channel. I'm going to look into the camera tonight and say something that I never thought I would say, but it needs to be said. Here goes. Tiger Woods will never win another major again. There, I said it. That pains me. That pains me. Tiger Woods has become a ceremonial golfer. And it's not because he physically can't hit the ball as long as other people. It's not because he can't make the putts or the chips or the iron shots. Would he struggle with mightily today? Nope. It's not any of that. It's because the guy can't practice anymore. It's because the guy can't play any of the warm-up events leading up to the Masters anymore. It's because he's been relegated to being a guy, by his own admission, that could only play maybe 5 events a year, 6 events a year if he's lucky. And that has essentially turned him into a ceremonial golfer. He's the guy that you go to watch, but you know he's got no shot to win. A guy with 15 majors and not a chance to win a single one more. And that is tough for me to acknowledge as somebody that honestly watches golf mostly for Tiger Woods, because there aren't a lot of figures on the tour that I gravitate towards as somebody, as you get older, and maybe it's a media thing, maybe it's just a me thing, maybe it has nothing to do with the media. I tell you this all the time when we talk about this show. I'm a storyteller. So therefore, what I gravitate towards as a sports radio host, as somebody that spends 3 hours in front of a microphone, basically just talking to the moon every night. Yeah, you guys text and sometimes you guys call. But in general, I sit in a room by myself and talk about sports, which is very abnormal. And I imagine a lot of people are listening, and they are. But as somebody who is obligated to watch sports for a living, you find your thing. What is it that makes you excited to come on the radio and talk for 3 hours a night? And for me, it's stories. And Tiger Woods, for the last 25 years, has been one of the greatest stories to follow in sports. He took people that were not golf fans and turned them into golf fans. No, better yet, he turned them into Tiger Woods fans. He took a sport that was primarily dominated by white, out-of-shape men, and he showed that an athlete can be a golfer. He showed that somebody could... I once watched the story of the comparison between John Daly and his warm-up routine and Tiger Woods. Daly would go out, hit a bucket of balls, smoke about 10 cigarettes, drink a 6-pack of Diet Coke, and then get up on the first tee. Tiger would run 4 miles, practice for 3 hours, play his round, hit another round of balls for 3 hours, and then go find somebody to play him one-on-one in hoops. There was never anybody like Tiger Woods before Tiger Woods. And now you have a golf world that is filled with people who want to be just like Tiger Woods, who take it seriously from a fitness standpoint, who give everything they have to trying to win and to try to be the best. He drove an entire generation of golfers that you're watching now. The Rorys, the Rahms, the Schefflers, the Koepkas, you name it. They were all derived from the same guy, watching Tiger Woods. He is a transgenerational, he is a transformative figure. Has he had his share of peccadillos? Sure. Who hasn't? Has he been perfect? No, he hasn't. Has he had extramarital affairs? Of course. Has he done the best to try and make his life the best he can and the best for others around him and for people all over the world? Yeah, he has. He's a complicated figure like many. But one part of his career the one thing that still kept me coming back was the chance that he could still win one more major, or two, or three. But after watching him today, after watching him labor through 18 holes on what was probably going to be the best day scoring-wise in this event, first day, not as much tread on the surgically repaired leg, and watch him go out and shoot a 2 over when guys in his same group were shooting 4 under and 7 under, respectively. You came to the realization that you had seen the last of Tiger Woods winning majors. In fact, you've probably seen the last of Tiger Woods winning anything on the PGA Tour. Who knows? Maybe he plays the Champions Tour, rides around on a cart. We had Fred Funk on the show a month or so ago, and Fred said that he heard Tiger plan to play on the Champions Tour. He could ride around on a cart. He probably could win on the Champions Tour. But what is the Champions Tour at the end of the day? It's where people over 50 go to continue their golf career. Not much more. Tough thing to realize today that it's over for Tiger. We'll come back. 800-224-2004 is the telephone number. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. I want that in the pod. Also, can you do me a favor? Can you send, I don't know how close you are if you have a number for Brian McDonald. Send him a text and let him know I want a promo made from that. Thank you for being with us on this Wednesday edition of Thanks for being with us. We've got a couple of guests joining us tonight. Coming up in 15 minutes, it'll be Daryl Guru Johnson From 95.7 The Game, their midday host. Talk to him about the Warriors. Maybe slip in a Niners question. Maybe an A's or San Francisco Giants question as well. Whatever he's up to. It was hard to watch today. Because here's the thing. Tiger drove the ball well. His iron play was atrocious, so he left himself in bad positions on the green all day. So it made his putting look worse than it actually was. You've got to be so defensive putting on these greens at Augusta National. And watching him today, playing alongside two guys that were lighting up this course, and him just not even be able to get anything going. He had a couple of birdies on the backside. I think he got it to 1 over. Everybody's like, here comes Tiger. Meanwhile, he's 8 shots back. I get it's the opening day. And you could almost feel the announcers trying to will him to some sort of respectable round that could put him in a position for Friday or Saturday. But it just never happened. Now, look, maybe he goes out tomorrow and he shoots, 67. And he enters the weekend, 1 under. And he barely gets in, but he makes the cut. Tiger Woods playing in the third to last group on Saturday and something similar on Sunday. That's when you've become a ceremonial golfer. That's when you're Larry Mize. And granted, Tiger's accomplished more than Larry Mize could have ever dreamed of accomplishing. But ceremonial golfer is ceremonial golfer. And that's what Tiger Woods looks like he's become. Now, you might want to tell me, and I might even want to tell myself, that as long as he shows up every year at the Masters and can physically play 72 holes, no matter if he has to limp around or not, he's got a shot to win every year, right? We'll want to try and make that argument. We'll want to try and make that case. But, and I say this as somebody that has played golf on the amateur level, and obviously not even at the competitive amateur level. I think I had my handicap down to about a 9-6 at one point, which, if anybody knows anything about golf, means I consistently can shoot in the 80s. But the one thing, whether you are the highest level professional or just the guy with a 9.5 handicap, if you can't play all the time, if you can't play competitively, the ability to win at the level Tiger's trying to win the events he's trying to win against the greatest fields in golf, not just from the PGA Tour, but from around the world, the chances are beyond diminished. And we have to acknowledge he can't do it anymore. It's like Adrian and Rocky. You can't win. And Rocky was able to prove Adrian wrong in those movies. But I just don't see it. I don't see the ability. You could catch lightning in a bottle one day in golf. I even made the point yesterday, Tiger's game now would be more suited to live golf because it's only 3 days. He can amp himself up and get through 3 days physically. 4 days? PGA Tour, these courses, the terrain, the weather being an obstacle. It's going to be rainy and cold this weekend at Augusta National. And you know what that means? For a guy with bad knees, a bad back, and a fake leg, basically, that he's playing on. He admitted to himself he's got tons of hardware in the leg. You know what that adds up to? The end. That's what it adds up to. It adds up to ceremonial golfer. And that, like I said, for me to come on the air and have to say that, it hurts. I'm not taking joy in it. I'm not gloating about it. I'm not saying it to be contrarian to what others may think. I'm not saying it, I don't, like, every time that Tiger Woods tees off in an event, I make it a point. It's appointment viewing for me. I got up this morning on the West Coast at 7 a.m., partly because I got a text from somebody that woke me up at that hour. But mostly because I wanted to watch Tiger Woods. I got up at 7 a.m. on the West Coast after yesterday battling the worst stomach illness I've ever had. And I'm 45 years old, so that's saying a lot. I got up at 7 a.m. today to watch Tiger Woods tee off at the Masters. And throughout my entire morning, I carried around my iPhone 13 Max, Pro Max, whatever the hell it's called. Carried it around so I could watch every shot of Tiger Woods. Watching in places I probably shouldn't be watching and you wouldn't want to know. And I could honestly say that tomorrow, I don't know if I'm going to watch. I don't know if I want to watch. Because it's like watching Willie Mays dropping balls in center field for the New York Mets. It's like watching Patrick Ewing play for the Seattle Supersonics or the Orlando Magic. It's not fun. It's not a story. Unless the story is watching the end of one of the greatest singular careers of this generation. Think about that for a second. Think about what's ending. Think about what's ending for a second. One of the single greatest careers in any sport in any generation. And you're watching the end of it. And the sad part is, what's he, 47 years old? We're not talking about a guy that's 55 or Bernhard Langer is still competitive at 63 or something like that. It's hard. It's hard to watch. Like I said, there aren't a lot of professional athletes that I've gotten emotional watching. Tiger's one of those guys. When Tiger won in 2019, I won't have any problem admitting I had tears rolling down my face. That was an emotional thing. Then again, I cried when the Ultimate Warrior beat Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania years ago, too. So I guess I cry at anything. The phone number, 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Is that it for Tiger? Has he become a ceremonial golfer? Let me know what you think. Text me at the show. We have an exclusive text line just for listeners of this show. It's 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549. I said I was going to give something away tonight. I did. I said I was going to give something away. And I will give something away. One texter at random tonight. We're going to put a name into the randomizer. Text me your name, where you're listening to us. Text us any thought you might have on the sports story of the day, whatever that may be to you. We'll read it on the air, and you'll be entered to win. At the end of the show, I'm going to give something away. I don't know what. Might be something really cool. Might be a gift card. I don't know. I haven't decided what I want to give you yet. That's the beauty of owning my own company. I give away what I feel like giving away. We've already given away a Shohei Ohtani rookie baseball card. We've already given away an autographed football by 2 Hall of Famers. We're going to be giving away a $100 Visa gift card to whoever gets the NBA Finals prediction correct. We've already taken entries on that. I don't know. We're going to give something away tonight, though. 888-670-8549 to get in on the text line. 888-670-8549. On anything you want, but I'm asking the question tonight. Is it over for Tiger? Is it even still appointment viewing anymore to watch Tiger? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I honestly have not decided if I'm going to tune in tomorrow. I think he tees off around 1:15 p.m. Eastern, something like that, which is around 10:15 in the morning for me on the West Coast, so I don't even have an excuse not to watch at that hour of the day. Well, I'm supposed to help somebody move, but I could always have it on my phone and watch there. I got to say, the Masters website, the Masters app rather, and I'm not getting paid anything to say this. The app for the Masters is very cool because they always have featured groups and you can watch. So I was literally able to watch every shot of Tiger Woods commercial free on the app, and it's free. I mean, that's really cool. I didn't have to worry about buying ESPN Plus and spending, $100 for a yearly subscription to ESPN Plus just so I can watch Tiger Woods round. I was able to turn on the Masters app and watch it there. All right, send your texts tonight to 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549. You will be entered in to our randomizer, which will pick a winner at the end of the show. We're going to give you something. And then this isn't like, let's make a deal where one of the doors has like a donkey behind it or something like that. It'll be something cool. It'll be something you could use, something you'll want. Daryl Guru Johnson from 95.7 The Game in San Francisco joins us next. Stay tuned. It's crazy talk. It's crazy talk. Oh, come on, Goo. Just texted you. Where are you? Wrong one. I got no answer yet. Got a vamp. I'll vamp. You can go ahead. Thanks for being with us tonight. Scheduled to be joined by Daryl Guru Johnson of 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Hosts the midday show there. Get some thoughts with him on all things Bay Area sports, including the Golden State Warriors, who I think a lot of people at this point, I think have buried them. Might turn out to be right, might turn out to be wrong, but I think a lot of people at this point have kind of given up on the idea of the Warriors. I even saw somebody, I'm not sure who it was, might have been somebody on like Fox Sports, some national personality, say that it would be unhealthy for the NBA if the Golden State Warriors made a deep run into the postseason. And I suspect part of the reason that some would feel that way is because the Warriors making a deep run into the postseason would basically say, you know what, it really doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. That you could just get all your guys healthy in time for the postseason and then just go, make a run. That you could just sort of stumble along through the regular season, win 9 games. 9 games. Think about that. 9 games on the road in the regular season. The Golden State Warriors have won 9 games. It's astonishing when you think about it. That a team is going to be in the NBA playoffs. Playoffs? A team is going to be in the playoffs that is 9-30 on the road. Let me put that in perspective for you. The Warriors are 9-30 on the road. The Detroit Pistons are 9-32 on the road. Let that sink in for a second. Think about the Pistons, who are 16-64 this year. They are 9. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I got that wrong. I got that backwards. Sorry. They're 7-32 on the road. I'm sorry. They've won 2 less games than the Warriors. The Pistons, who have the worst record in the NBA, bar none. By 4 games, they have the worst record. Get those ping pong balls for Wembanyama. They are 7-32 on the road. The Golden State Warriors are the 6th seed in the West. They're 9-30. And I'm trying to look. In the rest of the postseason, the Grizzlies are 15-24 on the road. They're a number 2 seed. The Thunder are 15-25. They're the very last seed. In the East, the worst road team is Toronto at 14-26. So I can understand why there's some people that think it would be a bad statement if the Warriors were able to make a deep run. But now I can argue both sides of anything, and I say this all the time. I'm like an attorney. I can argue both sides of anything. And in doing so, if I say to you, the other side of that is they're 33-8 at home. The Golden State Warriors are 33-8 at home this year. So all they have to basically do is win 1 game on the road in any of these playoff series, and you like their chances to win a series because they're so dominant at home. As bad as they are on the road, and they are prolifically bad on the road, their 33-8 record among the top 5 in the NBA, maybe the top 4. So, I mean, it all depends on your perspective and how you look at these things. Anyway, we're scheduled to be joined by Daryl Guru Johnson. We'll try to get him on the line. Having some issues getting through to him right now. The text line number. We're doing a text contest tonight. Text us your name, where you're listening to us from, and any thought you may have on the day in sports or the big story in sports. You can keep it random. 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549. Light up that text line. At the end of the show, we will put the names into a randomizer. And somebody's going to win a prize at the end of the show. Tonight, it's a mystery prize. Now, mind you, so far we've given away a pizza. We've given away a Shohei Ohtani rookie baseball card. We've given away an autographed football with 2 Hall of Famer signatures on it. Chances are you're going to get something pretty cool. Not going to tell you what it is, though. You've got to take it on faith that you're just going to get something cool. But the only way you can get in is if you text the show. 888-670-8549. That's how we run our contests on this show. 888-670-8549. Name, where you're listening to us, whatever your sports thought of the day is. If you're watching on the video stream and you just say, my hair looks good, it's not going to curry you any more favor, but it'll count. I got a haircut today, and it's amazing how good you feel after you get a good haircut. Got my head buzzed today. Saw a whole bunch of gray hairs fall out. I'm not going to lie, that's kind of depressing. It is no fun looking down at a big apron full of gray hair. Not fun at all. But we did that nonetheless earlier today. I talked a lot about Tiger Woods in the first couple of segments, which means we didn't get into any of the live betting stuff. So while we have a couple of minutes now, while we wait to get Daryl Guru Johnson on the show, let me go through some of that. Oklahoma City, 72, Utah 70. Are you ready? Can I give me a thumbs up if you're good to go? I don't know what that is. Well, hold on a second. Nobody can hear you. Don't swear because now you're on the radio. So,
Okay.
so what were you saying?
My neighbor needed some help. He's an older gentleman, and I'm a good Samaritan. I think I am. So I had to help him and forgot my phone. So I'm back to you, baby.
So you're a good Samaritan, but a crappy guest is what you're saying.
Oh, no, never that. Yeah, you're looking good, baby.
Daryl Guru Johnson is our guest. He does the midday show on 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. And now you know you're going to have to hang on through the break for a couple of questions because I only got a couple minutes with you.
No problem.
So I'm going to hold you over. We were just talking about the Warriors. And I was discussing that there was a host, I think, on Fox Sports that said something like, oh, it'd be unhealthy for the NBA if the Warriors make a deep run in this postseason. And I suspect the reason they're saying this is because of the fact that this team is basically 9-30 on the road, has sleepwalked through the entire regular season, can't play a lick of defense, and yet they could just flip a switch when the postseason starts and basically make the entire regular season irrelevant if they make a deep run.
That was Nick Wright, who I love, but he was Nick wrong in this sense. The NBA's got a litany of problems. And, I mean, give me another team in history where one of the star players socked one of the up-and-coming star players right before training camp. Look around the league. Load management's the big issue. The Golden State Warriors, you think they're doing this on purpose with the stinky road record, 9-100 it feels like? So, Jason, every team in the history of the league gets this final exam. Let me show you who we really are in the playoffs. And that's the final exam. There's been some turbulence, but to say it's bad for the league, Nick, that blew my mind. Now, if you want to say Durant coming to the Warriors in 16, which I hated a year off season after they defeated OKC, talk to me. But come on, you got to give this Warrior team a chance. And Jay Wiggins coming back, I don't necessarily, I want it. But is he going to be rusty? And is that going to mess things up? So, I mean, I cannot wait, man. I really cannot.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
9-30 on the road, 33-8 at home.
Okay.
Where I'm struggling with that is a team sleepwalking through the season because there's no way you can convince me that simply playing on the road makes them that much worse a team. I mean, as I just pointed out, Detroit has 7 wins on the road this year.
No doubt.
And they have 16 wins for the whole season. So help me understand how it isn't simply a team sleepwalking through the season when they're that good at home versus that good on the road. It can't just be load management.
Jason, you're my brother. It's not my job. It is not my job to to convince anybody they're not sleepwalking. The bottom line to me is they're getting older, they're defending champs, and if the rumors and whispers are true, they're not connected at the hip. And when that shows up, is on the road. Now, I don't believe that to be the case, but it could be a facet, a part of why they're so bad and it's night and day at home.
All right, I'm going to hold you because I got cheated by a couple of minutes. By the way, they gave up 79 in the first half to the Thunder the other night, and then gave up 48 in the second half, and that was at home. Anyway, I want to come back and talk about it with you some more. Daryl Guru Johnson's going to join us for another segment from 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. What up, my man?
Oh, Jay, my bad, bro.
It's all good.
My neighbor's a good guy, older gentleman, and I go, oh, my God, Jason's calling me. So, yeah, I'm back. I'll hang through, man. I miss you.
It's all good. It's all good.
Hey, have you heard Damon's YouTube or – yeah, no.
Daryl Guru Johnson and I were just doing our old show off the air for a couple of minutes.
With like 4 topics in like 1 minute.
We did the rapid fire version of the old show on 95.7 The Game. That was fun. Oh, God. Love this guy. Daryl Guru Johnson of 95.7 The Game is our guest. You can catch him middays. It's Steiny. Steiny and Guru. Now they're 4 hours, too. 10 to 2. Whew. It's big boy. That's big boy radio, man.
Yeah, I like 3. Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah, I like 3 a lot better too. And I used to do 5 and overnights, and now I do 3 at night.
Would you be by yourself, Jay? You did that by yourself?
I did 5 and overnights by myself.
That's why you're one of the best point guards I've met in the business, bro. And I don't give that out. You are, man. Yeah. You got to be skilled to do that, man. Got it.
It's definitely not for everybody. We'll just say that. We were talking about the Warriors, and like I was saying, I mean, it's hard for me to look at them the other night. I mean, I was crushing them for giving up 79 in the first half at home against Oklahoma City in a game that really actually means something to their playoff hopes. And then they lock it down in the second half, and I think they only gave up like 47 points in the second half en route to really what turned out to be a runaway victory. And that's why it's hard for me to not go with the premise that they're just a team that simply turns it on and off. And again, you mentioned it. They're a veteran team. They sort of know what it takes to win, so they feel like they can do that. Maybe all they think they need to do is make the postseason, and they can make a run.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think it's to that degree, because this will be the first time that they're not, they're starting out on the road. And, Jay, we're 1 game away from tomorrow night. I'll be in the building at SAC, from them losing to SAC, and then they be a part of this cockamamie playing game. So, I'm with you. I was offended by that atrocious defense the other night. But, Jay, I don't believe they did that on purpose. This is a mixture of youth. It's also, I keep going to this, Clay didn't play, attrition. But this is what I'll say about the Warriors and why I think they're going to win. Jason, show me a team that is smart and has the IQ not to beat the Warriors 1 game, 4 out of 7. If you watch their brand of basketball, and I've asked the great minds in the game, why don't other teams try to duplicate what they're doing with the down screens, the cuts? They play a smart brand of basketball, and it's why Wiseman couldn't get it. No shade, and he's in Detroit. But that's going to take over that moxie. So no team, especially the Kings, great story. You think they're going to beat the Warriors 4 out of 7?
Nope.
Denver, Memphis, with the strip club guy? Yeah, I love you. I had to throw that in there. But you know what I mean? They play a different brand of basketball. And now, when we talk about the East, Boston again, redemption, and Milwaukee and Phoenix. But I'll tell you, Jay, I don't like what's going on with Middleton in Milwaukee. He exited that game last night after 6 minutes. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but the Warriors, you get the benefit of the doubt when you've done it as many times as they have.
Can I ask you a couple other Bay Area sports questions?
Take me. Go ahead. Fire.
Is this the Oakland A's last season in Oakland?
You know what? I thought it would be, Jason, but I don't think so. Manfred said that situation. Now, I got to back up here. He said this situation will come to a head this season. Right. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did.
So I just don't see him leaving, Jay. And the rumor is that Vegas wouldn't even welcome the A's. Like, baseball is not what football was, or the NBA or hockey to Vegas. I could be wrong, but to answer your question, I almost feel like he's stuck in Oakland.
Really?
Yeah, that's my
They got to get a stadium, though. That's not a tenable situation.
Well, man, that's just it's embarrassing. And then did you see the report that came out 2 weeks ago? My Pirates and the A's were in like the top 7 Major League Baseball teams that turned a profit for like the A's were like 72 million, and then they put out their Twitter for the A's. Oh, you got to subtract 29 million. Okay, so it was 49, but you're operating like Major League, the movie. It is truly shameful what the Oakland fans got to deal with, man.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It certainly is. One about the Giants here, who have decided to basically go with a small ball team, it feels like. This isn't going to be a team that hits for a lot of power. They're going to rely on pitching, defense, maybe some running. I mean, is that enough to even compete in the National League West when you've got powerhouses like the Dodgers and the San Diego Padres there?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. You know I love the game of baseball. They're playing with a juice ball. I believe that with all these other rule changes. But, Jay, they hit 7 home runs the other day, the Giants, And then today in Chicago against the White Sox, they hit, I think, 4 or 5 more. So I was calling it small ball, but I don't know. It might be the long ball. And if they get that with their pitching, which is just okay, I feel like where they play on that said game or that series, Jay, will go a long way on what they're doing. But right now, they're boring, but they're hitting a whole lot of home runs today. And I think Gabe Kapler, I liked it. He's not a fake activist, that his parents were really, that meant something to him, right and wrong. But he got ran out of Philly because he was a phony. And Jay, when I start hearing him now, I liked him, but I'm starting to think, man, dude, we'll sniff you out here in the Bay. It might take a little longer, but I don't know how long his leash is, man.
Daryl Guru Johnson, our guest, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. You can hear him middays there. Steiny and Guru, the tandem there in 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the West Coast. Hey, give me a thought on, I was talking about this with a couple back-to-back nights. We had Nick Ferguson on, former NFL safety. And we got Jason Cole coming on next hour to join us, who does a great job. Yeah, we're talking about this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, and I'm starting to feel like the longer this drags out, there's a chance that he lands somewhere other than the Jets. And one of the places that keeps obviously coming to mind for obvious reasons, given his ties to Berkeley, is the 49ers. What is the conversation like in the Bay Area as it relates to Rodgers and the possibility that the Niners swoop in here at the 11th hour and try to get him?
You know what? He's bitter that they didn't draft him. All right, we know that. They took Alex Smith. And Aaron Rodgers, I forget LeBron, move over. You are the biggest narcissist I've ever seen in professional sports. But to your question, today, the whispers, the conversation started like, could Kyle go get him and bring him in? Jason, I think it's a long shot, but I'll tell you this. If I'm a Jet fan, I'm pissed off. And I'm pissed off because I'm starting to feel like this dude played us because what's taking so long, unless he's waking up watching the national shows, feeling good about him being talked about. But it would be everything if you got Aaron Rodgers to throw to Debo, Ayuk, and hand it off to McCaffrey and George Kittle. That would be wow. I just don't know if it happens, but I'm telling you, John Madden, rest in peace, said if you got 3 of one thing, you don't have one. I'm not mad at Darnold. He's kind of failed as a starter. Trey Lance, I never liked him. Purdy was a great story, but now his arm is wrecked. I mean, I could really see something go down if they could pull this off and bring Aaron Rodgers home. My goodness.
Let me ask you one before I let you go, because we were just talking about before we came back from the break. Lamar Jackson, what do you make of it?
I got to be careful here, but he's a black man and so am I. So there's no racial thing involved, but he's being stupid. He's not reading the room. You're playing yourself. And the NFL told everybody before your contract situation jumped off, Deshaun Watson's contract was a mistake. And for whatever reason, I feel like he's on Twitter, TikTok, trying to get the biggest quarterback contract when, one, your passing ability, you're deficient. It is obvious you were deficient, but yet you're pulling this card as if, you're Joe Montana. I don't know what's going on, and I see him holding out, and he's going to hold out for the worst reason, Jay, because of pride. I'm with Baltimore. I don't know if you heard the GM I think today or yesterday. Hey, yeah, we got a quarterback on our draft board. We'll draft him. I think he's playing himself. And why? I'll leave you with this. Why isn't the line around the corner like it would be if Aaron Rodgers were available? Lamar has a false sense of self-worth, man. I really believe that.
I agree with you. I think that's a perfect place to leave it, because I'm 100% in agreement with you. And I've had arguments with so many different people about this who want to sit there and tell me that Lamar Jackson's worth every penny. He's won an MVP. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that he's missed 12 games the last 2 years. His completion
of the last 2 seasons.
He's primarily a running quarterback, and that's not something you could do forever.
Yeah.
He's 1-2 in the playoffs. Oh, I'm with you on it.
Jay.
I know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Last thing, and I don't think receivers want to play with them.
I agree with that. And that everybody talks about, well, why don't the Ravens go get anybody? Nobody wants to play there.
No doubt, Jay.
Daryl Guru Johnson, catch him over in middays, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Always good to talk to you, my friend. Don't be a stranger.
I love you, man. Stay in touch, Jay. You're my guy.
Yeah. We'll wrap up this first hour. We got a lot to do in the second hour of the show. It was a rather somber start to the show here in the first hour, talking about Tiger Woods. Man, that is a bummer. But we're going to spruce things up in the second hour, I promise. Continue to hit the text line for the text contest tonight, 888-670-8549. We're back with another hour of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Stay with us. All right, my man. How are things? How's the 4-hour thing going?
You know what? I've done 4 before, but we had 3. But
think about it and think about my own thoughts on professional sports today and the crazy salaries that some of the biggest stars in the game make, when I started to think of it that way, maybe the story isn't that shocking. And when Andrew Luck retired several years ago, I thought it actually might start a trend of these sorts of things. And while I won't say it started a trend, I do think, sports teams and professional athletes and the meshing of huge guaranteed contracts and these monster numbers that some of these guys make is great for them. For a brief period of time, it's great for the team they play on. But the idea now of guys playing 15 years in the league, 12 years in the league, no matter what the sport is, quite honestly, it just doesn't have to happen because guys make so much money in such a short period of time that they simply do not need to spend 20 years bashing their brains in to play a sport. And to me, Tyreek Hill shows just how smart of a guy he is without uttering a single word. Because Tyreek Hill today, on a Kansas City sports radio station, announced to the entire world that when he's done in 2025 with the Miami Dolphins, at the age of 31, he's hanging it up. He's going to retire. Yep. He said it today in Kansas City. And when you think about Tyreek Hill, he'll be 31 years old at that point. He will be 31 years old. And he will have made somewhere around $140, $135, $140 million. And obviously the guy has been smart enough with his money and has the desire to do something other than play football to help mankind, no matter what it might be. I have no idea. He has other interests. And I don't think that means he lacks the desire or the hunger to win or the desire to be the best. Watch Tyreek Hill play. He plays every down like it's his last. I watched him play hurt last year for that Dolphins team. Even when Tua was out and hurt. And obviously, rightly so with the concussion stuff, which we've talked about ad nauseum. But Tyreek Hill was playing with all sorts of leg injuries throughout the year. Because the guy loves the game. But he also realizes there's the potential for life after football. Think about it. He's a Super Bowl winner. By the end of 2025, he will have made $135 million just in NFL contracts alone. And at 31, he'll have another 50 years to live out his life and do whatever the hell he wants. And what always blows my mind is that more professional athletes of his stature, star players, why they're unable to walk away earlier. Why they feel the need, to play until they're 40 or 35 or 36. I mean, here's Tyreek Hill, who started in the league in 2016, and at the end of 2025, it's like, I'm done. Peace out. 10 years, done. He doesn't have to give up his brains. He doesn't have to give up the wear and tear on his body. He'll still be able to enjoy a night out with his significant other, whoever he wants. Family, if he's got kids, I don't even know. Doesn't really matter. Just getting paid and then getting out. And it still will have a fantastic career. I mean, I venture even to say, you could be talking about a guy that will be in the conversation for the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done, right? And he didn't have to kill himself to do it. He'll still leave with his brains intact, as opposed to the scrambled eggs that so many guys walk away from the game having. And go look at the numbers for Tyreek Hill over his first 7 years in the league. 63 touchdowns, 8,300 yards receiving. 5 years in the league where he went for more than 1,000 yards receiving. Almost 1,500 yards in 2018. 7 Pro Bowls every year in the league. All Pro 4 different times. And at the end of 2025, he'll walk away from the game with no regrets. Rob Gronkowski basically did the same thing, didn't he? These are smart guys. Surprised more guys aren't doing it. We're coming back with more on the other side. Insides still aren't good. Thank you for being with us tonight. Coming up in 15 minutes, Jason Cole. Outkick.com. Does a great job on the NFL. We'll get some thoughts with him. Guess I got to find something else to watch. It's not a good sports night on TV, let's be honest. I guess it's the Nuggets and the Suns for me. You can't even live bet a game like this when you look at who's playing. You just can't do it. You guys text the show, I read them. 888-670-8549. And tonight, if you text the show, name, where you're listening to us, and whatever sports thought you want to throw out there, you're entered to win. End of the show, we're giving something away. It is a mystery prize. And again, this reminder, so far we have given away a Shohei Ohtani rookie baseball card, a pizza gift card for Pi Day, a autographed football, autographed by 2 Hall of Famers. What are we going to give away tonight? Got to enter and find out. Text the show, 888-670-8549. Joshua in Austin, Texas, texting the show. Asks, who do you like to win the Stanley Cup? Well, it's hard not to like Boston. I mean, again, for somebody who doesn't watch a ton of hockey during the regular season, it's hard to go too in-depth with it. I think Boston is the team to beat, but I do think the Rangers are a huge threat in the Eastern Conference. They made some great additions as the season went along. They're playing some great hockey at the right time. Text from David in Austin, Texas says, I love the Masters golf tournament. How can you not? I mean, the Masters is just a tradition unlike any other, right? Love me the Masters. Just a little harder to watch this year, knowing that I'm watching Tiger make this ceremonial trek around the course rather than actually having a shot to win. That's a bummer. Al, listening in Austin. Got a lot of Austin listeners tonight. Says Spieth will win the Masters this weekend. He has started to play better as of late. I think the worst nightmare, by the way, for the Masters and the PGA Tour is if Brooks Koepka wins the whole thing because he's a live golfer. And I know the live golfers are trying to, the new mantra being touted by all the live golfers is, well, it's not us versus the PGA Tour. It's the media that's blowing it out of proportion. There's no ill will between us and the tour. No, you don't understand. You don't know what you're talking about. It's the media that's blowing this all out of proportion. Not so. But Brooks Koepka is leading the way, along with Victor Hovland and John Rahm through the first round. All 3 of them at 7 under. Jason Day is 2 shots back. How about them apples? And one of the stories of the day was amateur Sam Bennett, who's 3 shots off the pace after an opening round 68. Again, Tiger, 2 over. And you have to wonder what his chances are to make the cut unless he puts together a good round tomorrow. He's going to have to be under par, you would have to think. I wanted to see what Bernhard Langer do. How about Fred Couple? Fred Couple shot a 1 under 71 at the age of 63. It's just Phil Mickelson shot a 71. How about them apples? Who saw that coming? Where's Bernhard Langer? I want to see how Bernhard Langer did. Oh, he's +3. That's not gonna do it. +3 for Bernhard. Because I was saying yesterday to everybody to put a bet in on Bernhard to make the cut. That's not looking too good right now, though. Anyway, Tiger tees off tomorrow around, I believe, 10:15, if I'm not mistaken, on the Pacific time. So I guess 1:15 on the East Coast. Who knows what the weather's going to be like. There's going to be all sorts of weather issues. We'll keep an eye on what's going on there with the Masters. Mike in Appleton, Wisconsin says Bucks in 6. Against anybody? Against who, Mike? Bucks in 6 against who? I know you said Bucks and Nuggets when you texted in on March 29th in our last text contest. You said Bucks Nuggets in the NBA Finals. Now you're saying Bucks in 6. I guess that's what you mean. This one, I don't know where this is. San Jack Garage? I don't know what that is. Just left the Spurs game. Oh, so I guess that must be San Antonio or something. Okay. Go Spurs, go. Appreciate you listening. All right. Fair enough. Thanks for checking out the show. Got to give us your name, too, by the way. Send us your name, where you're listening. Sports Thought will shout you out on the air. You'll be entered to win. End of the show. Mystery giveaway. So one lucky winner. All right, coming up in 9 minutes, as I said, Jason Cole will join us from Outkick.com. We'll get his thoughts. By the way, you want to see a team change its mentality? You want to see a team start to spend more money to go and upgrade their roster? You want to see people get fired? When you go to a Boston Red Sox game, and I think it might have been a day game, and only 24,000 people at Fenway Park, heads are going to roll. I don't care if it's 4 games in, 40 games in, 140 games in. Fenway doesn't get crowds, announced crowds, by the way, of 24,000. If an announced crowd is 24,000, chances are it's really 18 or 19. Because announced crowds generally aren't the actual crowd. As George Steinbrenner used to say back in the day, it's all about fannies in the seats, not tickets sold. Because fannies in the seats is what pays the bills. So when the Red Sox played the other day against the Pirates and lost at home 4-1, and the announced crowd at Fenway was 24,477, I can guarantee you that got some people's attention. That's going to wake up some people in the front office. That's going to wake up some people in ownership. Because the Red Sox don't do that. Red Sox fans have been showing up forever. When you start to see paltry crowds at Fenway, and the team is 2-4 now, after I think they got spanked. Did the Tigers beat them now? Who beat them yesterday? Well, they beat the Tigers yesterday. Or they beat the Tigers today, sorry. Beat the Tigers today. But they're 2-4 right now, Boston. And look, it's a 162-game season, and I'm not saying you need to push the panic button or anything like that. I mean, God, this is the 25-year anniversary of the Yankees winning a zillion games in 1998 with one of the best seasons on record in the history of baseball. And even the Yankees got off to a slow start that year. So I'm not saying that all is lost for the Red Sox. But you kind of knew it wasn't going to be a great year. And when that starts to get validated in the early going and fans already start buying into the idea that they're not going to be very good, so it's not must-see TV and they aren't going to go watch you, and the Celtics are making a run potentially to an NBA final or at least an Eastern Conference final, and the Bruins are the best team on the planet in any sport any year, the Boston Red Sox right now are an afterthought. That used to be a Red Sox town. They're an afterthought right now. 24,000 people announced. Probably 18 to 20,000 actually there. I just saw some of the highlights from the game where there's just large swaths of empty seats. Or as Marv Albert used to say, a lot of fans disguised as empty seats. Not good. But it's early. That's why they play 162 games. Long season. We'll do some NFL on the other side. Why is Tyreek Hill retiring at 31? We'll ask Jason Cole about that. Whole bunch more. Stick around. I'm Jason Page. The cashing continues on this Thursday at SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app.
Yeah, look.
The only JC in my life. What's going on?
Which is quite the double entendre.
Yes, so. It is. Yes, it is. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm just getting over an awful stomach bug. Tell you about that another time. All right, we're coming back.
Okay, sounds good.
Mystery prize night on the show. Text us right now, 888-670-8549. Your name, where you're listening to us, sports thought. End of the show, we put the names into a randomizer. If your name is drawn, you win a mystery prize. We've given away autographed footballs by Hall of Famers, Shohei Ohtani rookie card, pizza gift cards. You just don't know. It's not like Monty Hall and Let's Make a Deal, though, where there's not going to be a donkey behind like door number 3 or anything like that. Let's bring in Jason Cole. Does a great job. NFL Insider, Outkick.com, who joins us on the show tonight. At first, when I saw the Tyreek Hill story today, at first blush, I was like, wow. And then I thought about something years ago when Andrew Luck retired. And I've seen Rob Gronkowski retire at a relatively young age. And I've been saying for a while, now that I had thought about it, I'd been saying for a while on various shows and various stations and various markets that I thought you would see more players do this sort of thing because of the exorbitant amounts of money stars make in this league. They simply don't have to play as long. Does that have anything to do with this?
A little bit, sure. I mean, if you put away $20-50 million, and presumably you're making 4 to 6% on that money, and you have your spending under control, why would you continue to play if you don't have to? I mean, unless you truly love it. But I also look at the Tyreek Hill thing and say, there's a lot of stuff that can happen in 3 years.
Right? So in other words, you're saying you're skeptical.
Well, we're kind of getting ahead of things, aren't we? I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 months. And you're telling me to retire in 3 years? Okay.
But look, at the end of that year, he will have made $135 million just in NFL salary. I mean, you're on, and
he's not making a lot of money. He's not a guy who's making a lot of money off the field. I'll say that.
Okay, but $135 million.
Sure.
And I think he might be smart enough to know how often do we talk about receivers on the other side of 30?
Oh, trust me, more than likely, at the end of 3 years, he'll have made a ton of cash, done very well as you're pointing out, $135 million, and B, yes, he will probably not be the same player that he is today, even though he works really hard at it. So, look, this is a league that's not for long, as the old saying goes. So, that's why, I kind of look at the 3 year thing and go, okay, let's see where you are in another year. Let's see how you are in 2 years. And maybe you're chasing a bunch of records at that point in time. Who knows what's going to happen in 3 years? But hey, if he's got a plan and he's got the money, more power to him. If he can walk away in 3 years, really, absolutely, 100% more power to you. If you have to do it.
You don't think this is something we'll see more of from players, though? Superstars that make this much money.
I think we'll see some of it. We'll see some of it because, yes, guys make enough money, but they also, a large amount of guys don't really manage their money well.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. So, they make 20, they spend 30.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of that. And, I remember looking at somebody, it was Cortland Finnegan. He was sitting with his wife. They had their newborn child, and he was about to hit free agency. I was looking at him, and he was about to get a $50 million contract out of the Rams. And he's like, he just couldn't comprehend that amount of money. And I said, look, I'm not an expert in that amount of money, but really don't make this more complicated than it is. If you have $10 million in the bank and you've got it, in basically, the equivalent of tax-free municipal bonds, and you're making 4% on that money, you're making $400,000 a year tax-free. If you can't live on $400,000 a year tax-free, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a really serious problem. But I know plenty of people who are in that position who don't live well on $400,000 because they find all sorts of ways to spend it, like, private jets.
Well, that's why the whole Gronk thing was always amazing. And you could correct me if I'm wrong on this story. That the thing I always heard about Rob Gronkowski was he basically lived off his endorsements and banked every penny away. Banked every penny he made in NFL salary, and he drove the same vehicle around. Like he really was frugal.
Yeah, well, Gronk comes from a family where the dad was a pretty savvy businessman. I think he started an exercise equipment business. So, the Gronkowski family came from money, understands how it works, and knew how to spend it and how not to overspend it. So there was some training that he was lucky enough to have early in his life. Most players don't have that kind of training early in their life to understand how money works. And I'm not talking about just the black players. I'm talking about, all players. Everybody doesn't understand that, right? And doesn't get it. And that's why, 75% of the league goes broke. On top of the fact that most guys don't make that kind of money.
Right.
Most guys are lucky in a 2 or 3 year period of time to put away, to make, even after taxes, $2 million. And then once they spend it, you're lucky to squirrel away $400,000, which is a nice, amount of money by the age of 24, 25. But it's not what the world out there thinks that guys are really making.
Jason Cole, NFL Insider, Outkick.com, joins us on the show. How much trouble could the Cardinals be in when you get this Terry McDonough story and what he's accusing Bill Bidwell of?
Well, it's a draft pick. It'll be a first-round pick if they'll lose, if it's true. I mean, let's not go too far with this. Look at this. They had some burner phones to talk to Steve Kahn. Like, what kind of real advantage or disadvantage was that? It's not like they played all that well.
That's what I said the other night too.
Right, like, you do this stuff. You look. I'm not trying to dismiss that they shouldn't get penalized, but it's not like the organization's going to get taken away from Michael Bidwell. That's not happening anytime soon. I just I get surprised by teams that do stupid stuff like this. Like, you can't spend 4 months away from your general manager. Like, he didn't lay out a plan, like, do this, this, and this, and this over the next 4 months, and we're good. Like, really? You had to have burner phones to talk to Steve Kahn? You just couldn't live by that simple, stupid penalty that you were given. And that's where, if I'm Roger Goodell, I just call him up and go, "You got to be kidding me! You're putting this at my desk, first round draft pick, and just stop being stupid. Stop making me take care of problems like this." That's how I look at it.
What do you make of the latest posturing from the Ravens with regards to Lamar Jackson and basically saying, we'll pick a QB, or we're open to picking a QB in the first round?
Well, they should be open to taking a QB in the first round, whether they pay him or not. I mean, number one, based on his actions, the best they're probably going to hope for is that he's going to play one more year at the $36 million for them. I mean, he's going to play because he has to. That's the one. When people say, "Oh, he might not play," get out of here.
You're really convinced of it. You're really convinced he's 100% playing.
It's $36 million.
I get it, but I mean, if
and
he's
the second part,
okay,
but the second part of it is they control his rights. If he doesn't play, he's still under control for another $36 million. Like he has to play to get out from underneath the tag. That's number one. Number two, yes, they've got to consider what are our future options, and that includes possibly taking a quarterback in the first round. This is a deep draft for quarterbacks. There's 5 guys probably going to go in the first round, maybe even 6, right? But and you got a kid like Anthony Richardson out there who's, that guy's a unicorn. Like, he's a really interesting, player.
Yeah, he is.
Now I think he needs a lot of time to be ready to play at the NFL level because I looked it up. Since 1990, there's only been one first round quarterback out of, I think it's 75 guys.
Hey, Jason, do me a favor. Hold on one second. I want you to finish that thought, and I got to ask you about Aaron Rodgers. On the other side with Jason Cole from Outkick. Don't go anywhere. I wasn't planning to hold you, but I want to ask you about Aaron real quick on the other side. See, I don't know. I mean, he sounds to me, and again, it could just be posturing. He sounds to me like a guy who's going to hold out. He's saying all the things that would indicate he's going to hold out.
You're talking about Lamar Jackson.
Yes. He's saying the things that would indicate it. If he's saying I don't want to play there anymore, I don't know how you walk in. I don't know how you walk through that door and play after you've kind of, sort of made that verbal stance.
Because you don't look. The Ravens aren't just cutting him. They're going to hold his rights because he has value.
Right.
And they're going to make him come to them. And the other side of it is he's not getting the offers he thinks he's going to get. If he goes out in the open. Yeah. I mean, it's just not happening because if he was really that good, 2 first-round picks and $200 million for a great player is not that much. It's really not.
He's priced himself out of the market.
Absolutely. He's just I keep coming back to this, and everybody talks about it's collusion, it's this and that. It's like no. It's how everybody looks and goes, how long a career is the kid going to have playing the way that he plays? It's that simple. Yeah.
I agree with you.
And I don't think he has any choice but to play. And the reason he says he's not going to play is because he thinks he has leverage that he doesn't have. Just like he thought he was going to get offers that he hasn't received. So that's my
Well, like I said, I agree with you. He's either going to have to go back there or hold out, but I don't think he's going to get the offer he wanted. That's for sure. You don't think maybe at the 11th hour somebody jumps in? Maybe the Patriots, the Jets. If I'll talk to you about this on the air. But the Jets, if the Rodgers stuff falls apart.
The Jets are possible, but I don't know anybody who's paying them that kind of money. Just don't.
Is the Commanders deal almost done?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it's going to get done before the season starts, but I don't think it's quite that close. I
talked to a writer who suggested that maybe the Commanders jump in, given his popularity in that market.
But they would have done that already, and he's not going to do anything to spend his money. So they can't do that until if there's another owner, and that owner has to approve on that contract. That's my take on that one. Plus, the other thing is Ron Rivera went through the whole running quarterback thing with Cam Newton already.
Yeah.
Right, and Cam was done after 8 years. I mean, he played 11, but he was done. He was done with the effective part of his career after 8 years.
Yeah, it's true. All right, coming back. Hold on. Continuing our conversation with Jason Cole of Outkick.com, does a great job on the NFL. We were talking about Lamar Jackson. I wanted to let you finish your thought, and just in terms of why he wouldn't hold out and the whole situation there. And I want to move on to Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I mean, because the contract tolls. In other words, if you sit out, you don't get to play your way out of free agency. You still your rights are still controlled by Baltimore, and they're not letting him go because he's an asset. So, just sitting out a year doesn't help him that much. He only misses making $36 million. So he's going to have to play on that contract. The only way he really forces himself out is the contract goes up by 20% the following year. And 20% of $36 million, that's another $7.2 million. Now you're talking about $43.2 million. Okay, that gets harder for Baltimore at that point in time to hold on to him. So I think he plays 1 year, and then they probably let him hit the market. And by that time, they have their solution, or he just gets off of his high horse and he takes, $150 to $180 million guaranteed, and he's got life-changing money.
Which is crazy. To think that he turned down, he said himself he turned down, 3 years, 177 or 3 years, 160? I forget what the number was.
Something in there. Look, this is the problem when guys don't have agents who can analyze the situation and give them, when they believe in themselves. I don't blame anybody for believing themselves, but you got to understand the Deshaun Watson deal is an outlier deal, not because of the guaranteed money and the total, but because for Deshaun Watson, Cleveland paid him to play there. And I mean that he didn't want to go there. They had to make it so obvious that, to get a star player, that they had to overpay by, I don't know, probably $40 million to get him to do it. Because he wanted to go to Atlanta. I mean, he grew up 45 minutes from Atlanta. You don't think that kid wanted to go there? And went to Clemson. And that's a kid from the South. He wanted to be in Atlanta. Cleveland just gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. And nobody wants Lamar Jackson that badly, and they don't want to take on a player who is probably not going to play another 5 years in this league.
Are you surprised that Atlanta has been so emphatic about Desmond Ridder being their future quarterback?
A little bit. I mean, I don't believe that. So I think they're drafting a quarterback. Come on. Right. I think they're drafting a quarterback. I truly believe that. I mean, if you're Arthur Smith, do you really hitch your entire career to Desmond Ridder?
No, of course not. I don't. But right. I'm also not a.
Move along.
I'm also not in an NFL front office or on a sideline.
Move along,
Jason. Mac Jones. Yes or no, or what are the odds he's going to be the starting quarterback week 1 for the Patriots?
Probably 60-70% that he's the starter week 1. Look, he's not going to get that much money in return, and they have to have another answer for what they're going to do at quarterback. And there's not that many veterans out there for them to do. And the people who are like, oh, Lamar Jackson to New England. When is New England paying $200 million for Lamar Jackson? Get out of here. Just stop. That's not happening. It's just not. So put that idea away too.
Aaron Rodgers, the longer it drags out, the more Jets fans' anxiety rises. The Jets have literally done everything and added everything that Rodgers would probably want around him short of Odell Beckham to try and entice him to come. But at the end of the day, the Packers obviously still hold his rights. How far can this go along before the Jets have to entertain the idea of another veteran quarterback? And again, it brings us back to where we started this conversation, Lamar Jackson.
Look, the deadline is basically the draft because that's, the Packers want the draft picks and they want to use them this year, right? So let this play out a little bit longer. The Packers are not in any big rush. And frankly, as much as everybody wants to see this get done, and they're just, they're frothing at the mouth, The Jets are smart enough to know, okay, it'll get done when we get to the deadline. It's just like any deal. There are deadlines for these things. And when the deadlines come up, that's when you see action. And that's when the Green Bay is going to want to do this. And they're just making the Jets sweat. And maybe the Jets are sweating. But maybe the Jets are sitting there going, okay, okay, we get the game. We know we've got the player. The only thing that they have to do is they have to make sure that they're maintaining contact with Rodgers so that he's not getting antsy and saying, well, maybe I'll consider somebody else. And all of a sudden, these rumors about whether it's San Francisco or somebody else, those become true. And San Francisco was now. Frankly, I don't see Kyle Shanahan and Aaron Rodgers getting together.
They don't have any draft picks either, Jason. I don't know what they're going to.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a bigger issue is they don't have draft picks. But I also see that's a problematic relationship between a very headstrong head coach and a very headstrong quarterback.
Jason Cole, our guest, NFL Insider, Outkick.com. Last one, to go back to the Patriots for a second. I was talking about this with a couple other people, and I want to get your thoughts. If the Patriots continue to struggle, and when you look at that division and the idea of Rodgers being on the Jets, I mean, they could wind up being the fourth best team in that division. Bill Belichick is 30 wins short of Don Shula's all-time wins mark. Is there a chance he has to go somewhere else to break that record? And would he? Does the record mean that much to him from what you know?
Well, I think actually he's only 19 games short.
Oh, is it 19? I thought it was 30. Oh, well, I wasn't counting playoffs. I was counting regular season, but okay.
Yeah, if you include playoff games, it's total all-time wins.
Okay. So if it's 19.
He's 19, so it's basically 2 seasons away. Look, there's this great old story about one owner talking to Bob Kraft, right? And they came out to Bob Kraft in the middle of one of the controversies. I don't know if it's Deflategate or Spygate, and said, because this has been so long and so many, and basically looked at him and said, "How long are you going to put up with this? With Belichick acting the way Belichick does?" And Kraft said to that owner, "As long as he wins." Well,
he's testing that theory.
Right. So I think the leash is shorter than some people think. I think, yes, he could go after 1 year, but Kraft does understand the value, the marketing value of that record. There is something to be said for having Belichick break that record under his watch. Because the other thing that Kraft is very cognizant of is his place in history and his desire to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is very, very strong. He wants in the Hall of Fame. And Belichick is part of his ticket to getting there.
Jason Cole, check out his work, Outkick.com, our NFL Insider on this show whenever we can get him. Always appreciate it, my friend. Have yourself a great rest of the week. We'll talk soon.
Hey, you too. Take care. Thanks.
Love Jason Cole. Glad we were able to get him on the show tonight. Talk a little bit about the NFL. So it's 19. See, I thought it was 30, but it's 19 as it turns out. I guess, see, in baseball and in, all these other sports, you count regular season statistics. You don't count postseason statistics. But I guess in the NFL, they count the postseason numbers. So 19. That still may take more than 2 seasons. I mean, playing in that division, if Aaron Rodgers is there, let's say Aaron Rodgers plays 2 more years with the Jets. You've got Tua in Miami. You've got Josh Allen in Buffalo. So you're playing 6 games a year against teams that are better than you at the most important position on the field, not counting the rest of your schedule. And it's no foregone conclusion at all that he would get 19 wins in those 2 years. He'd be stretching to get to 19 wins. I mean, he went 10-7 the first year with Mac Jones at quarterback. And then, what'd they win this year? 7, 8 games, whatever it was, 9 games? We'll see. But again, I think Kraft is cognizant of the idea of being able to say he was owner of the team with the greatest quarterback in the history of football, and then he'll be able to say I was the owner of the team with the greatest head coach in the history of football. I mean, those are two pretty nice accolades to have on your resume as an owner trying to get into the Hall of Fame, as Jason Cole pointed out. All right, that wraps up hour number 2 of the show. We're coming back on the other side. We'll update you on the games in progress. Final hour of the Cash In next on SportsMap Radio. of a Thursday/Friday edition of the show. Austin Rodriguez, producer, engineer, riding shotgun with me tonight. Thank you for being part of the cash in. Not so much cashing in tonight because there's nothing to bet on. I mean, yesterday I gave you a bunch of losers on golf. I mean, I told you to take Tiger to make the cut. That doesn't look very good right now. I said take Tiger to be leading after the first round. That doesn't look good, very, very good right now. I don't have many chances here. I mean, they weren't official Jason Page locks that we tell you to do, but are there any other bets to make the cut? Let me see here. For the Masters? I guess not. Props. Let's see. Props. Really? There's no other bets for Tiger? Guess not. Just who wins. John Rahm, by the way, how the odds change. Yesterday, before the tournament started, Scotty Scheffler was plus 700 to win the tournament. Rory McIlroy was next best at was the same at plus 700. Go and look at the odds now to win the Masters. John Rahm plus 340, Scotty Scheffler plus 500, Brooks Koepka plus 750, Victor Hovland plus 1,000, Jason Day plus 1,300. Rory is now plus 2,100 to win the Masters. A tradition unlike every other, or any other, whatever they say. I screwed that up. Let's see here. Where is Rory right now? Rory is... Boy, I got to scroll a bit to get to Rory. Spieth is -3. Where the hell's Rory on this list? I just looked up and down the leaderboard. I don't see no Rory McIlroy. How are his odds still that good? Jesus. I can't find Rory. Can anybody tell me where Rory is? Let's see here. Rory is tied for 37th, even par. And they're still giving him better odds than most to win the tournament. Again, the weather's going to be an issue, though. I think if you get out early tomorrow, you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself. The later you go off, the more of the weather issue you're going to run into. And then it's just going to be cold all weekend. It's not going to be a fun weekend at the Masters. If you're a spectator and you won the lucky prize to get tickets to the Masters this year, because it's really just luck of the draw for a lot of people. If you wound up at the Masters this year on the weekend, you are not going to be enjoying it. This guy, Adrian Marunk, is tied for 45th at 1 over. And just to show you how quickly your fortunes can change, he was 2 under through his first 7 holes. 2 under through his first 7 holes. I remember looking while I was watching the broadcast, and he was at the top of the leaderboard. Matter of fact, he was 2 under through 10. 5 birdies, 3 bogeys. Then he goes par, bogey, par, birdie, a 7 on 15, a 5 on 17, shoots a 38 coming in, and he's 1 over. And just like that, for a brief moment in time, a guy named Adrian Marunk was leading the Masters. I wonder what it would be like at the end of your life to be able to say, you know what, through 9 holes at the Masters, I had the lead. You know, as much as we like to make fun of these guys, and I don't want to say make fun, but make light of the fact that, wow, somebody led for a couple minutes. At the end of your life, no matter what kind of career you had, and I wouldn't know Adrian Marunk if he was sitting here in front of me right now. Wouldn't know him if he was sitting here in front of me. I don't know how much money he's made. He went to Eastern Tennessee State. He's from Poland. I got that. I mean, his career earnings are almost nothing, relatively speaking. I think he's tied for 14th is his best PGA Tour result that I could find. Let me see here. He's made $180,000 this year on the PGA Tour. I guess it's been on the tour a while, though. $51,000 at the British Open. Played on the DP World Tour. DP World Tour. Make sure we're clear on that. 2019, 2020. Yeah, I mean, this guy's made no money, basically. Definitely not on the PGA Tour. By the way, Brooks Koepka's got one of those early tee times tomorrow. So you go in at 7 under. I'll tell you, and I'm not a live golf guy. I don't root for those guys. You know how I feel about it. But Brooks Koepka at plus 750 might be a damn good bet. He won the last live event in Orlando the week before the Masters. And he gets to tee off early tomorrow, which is definitely going to be an advantage. I like Spieth at 2,100 too. It's not a bad pick. All right, in this final hour, you'll hear from Daryl Guru Johnson. He is a friend of the program, midday host at 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. He is our 2-for-1 tonight. He'll join us later on in the hour. We are running a text contest tonight. You have to text the show to be entered to win. 888-670-8549 from anywhere in America. We are giving away a mystery prize at the end of the show. First 3 prizes we've given out: Shohei Ohtani rookie card, given away a gift card for pizza on Pi Day. We've given away an autographed football signed by a couple of Hall of Famers. I've got a mystery prize we are going to give away at the end of tonight's show. But you got to be listening to win. So that is coming up at the end of the show. 888-670-8549 if you want a chance to win. All you have to do is text me your name, where you're listening from, and a thought on sports, whatever it may be. If you missed it at the top of the show, I said for the first time in my professional broadcasting life, something I thought I'd never say, that Tiger Woods will never win another major. By the way, if you miss anything from the show, we have this great thing called the Cash In Podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. It's cooked up fresh daily by our crack producers. In this case tonight, it's Austin Rodriguez. So if there's anything wrong or misspelt in the description of the podcast, send all your complaints to Austin Rodriguez. Spell check, boys. Spell check. Just saying. All right. A couple things to get to here as we continue to roll through the show. Ja Morant was reading a story today that starts to shed a little more light as to how we got where we did with him. And I'm not trying to pile on or anything like that. I'm not trying to pile on his troubles or make light of any of it. But you wonder how we get to a point. You wonder how a team and an organization gets to a point with their star player where he's in a strip club, waving a gun around on camera, on a road trip no less, in Denver in the middle of the night. And you start to wonder, how did we get here? And then you start to read the stories about what happened with him in the offseason during the summer. And the story of Givon Busby is starting to make things a little clearer. Recent story in the Washington Post is shedding new light on the behavior of Ja Morant as they spoke on an incident that took place in the summer involving Morant and a shoe salesman. Givon Busby, the shoe salesman, stated he spent roughly an hour in the back of a sneaker store hiding from Ja Morant after the All-Star guard threatened him. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Busby went to the police with this, but claimed he never heard from them again. I was actually afraid, Busby said. According to the Washington Post, the Grizzlies worked with the police behind the scenes, which means they were well aware of Ja Morant's behavior. Now, you know, last month he was suspended for 8 games without pay for that incident on Instagram Live, holding a gun at a nightclub outside of Denver. But now it starts to make more sense. Basically, you had a team that just thought these problems would go away. You had police who neglected to look into the case because, let's be honest, prominent professional athlete, huge star in the city. What else does Memphis have for pro sports? Let me think. Hold on. Oh, you mean nothing. So in Memphis, Ja Morant's basically a god. You have a police force that basically turns the other cheek and looks the other way. And therefore, you wind up with a professional athlete that thinks he's untouchable and can wave a gun around a nightclub. Now, we could talk all day about how he deals with stress and how he deals with the pressures that come with being a 23-year-old making $1 zillion in the NBA, star of an up-and-coming franchise, all of that stuff we want. But it still goes without saying that the Grizzlies, the Memphis Police Department, because this wasn't the only incident that took place during this offseason, they have some culpability in why we got to the point we did with Ja Morant. Now, hopefully it stops at this event at this nightclub in Denver on Instagram Live. Hopefully the message has become clear. But one thing that has become clear is how we got here. We're back with more on the Cash In at SportsMap Radio. All right, Daryl Guru Johnson coming up. About 20 minutes or so. get some thoughts with the 95.7 The Game host. Looks like the Suns won tonight. I think they're undefeated. If I'm not mistaken, they are undefeated with Kevin Durant on the court. I don't think they've lost a game with Kevin Durant on the court, which is amazing when you think about it. 119-115, Phoenix beats Denver. At least it was close. Durant tonight with 29 on 9 of 18 shooting, and rebounds, 4 assists. Chris Paul had 25. Devin Booker had 15. Good enough for the Suns, who are 45 and 35 with 2 to play. You imagine you'd probably see one more game with Durant, and then they probably sit him for the final game, if I had to guess. Let's see here. Yeah, as long as they win the next game, there wouldn't be much sense in playing him beyond that, because they'll have the 4th seed locked up. If they don't already have the 4th seed locked up, I'm not sure what the tiebreakers look like with either the Clippers or the Warriors. But right now it looks like a Phoenix-Clippers first-round matchup. That's juicy. That's all I can say about that. That is juicy. Yeah, Kawhi. I don't know what's going to happen with Paul George, but Russell Westbrook. Westbrook's played pretty good since going to the Clippers, by the way. Thunder tonight. Well, they need, I believe, one more win. I was working out the math earlier in the show. If they win one more game, let's see. If they win, well, they would. If they go 1-1 in their last 2. I'm sorry. If the Thunder, the Thunder won tonight, so they're 39 and 42. If the Thunder win their final game, they wrap up the final spot in the play-in tournament. If the Thunder lose and the Mavericks win out in their final 2 games, so you got the Thunder, who beat the Jazz tonight, but they get the Grizzlies on Sunday. And I don't know any reason why the Grizzlies would have anything to play for in that game. So if the Grizzlies decide to sit everybody on Sunday, the Thunder have a really good chance to win. And that game is in Oklahoma City. That place will be off the chain on Sunday. Like you haven't seen Oklahoma City in a long time. Probably since the days when Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant were still there. Or at least when Westbrook was still there after everybody else left. And Westbrook had a triple-double, it felt like, every night. So, Thunder beat the Grizzlies. They wrap up the 10th seed. If they lose that game, then Dallas would have to win their final 2. Dallas's remaining games are against the Bulls, who I think have locked up a postseason bid, if I'm not mistaken, and San Antonio, who has mailed it in. And both those games are at home for Dallas. So the first thing you need is a win over Chicago on Friday night if you're Dallas. And then you see where the chips fall on Sunday, on the final day of the NBA regular season, and whether or not you can get some help from Memphis. Like I said, if I'm Memphis, this is an interesting point. If you are Memphis, do you want to see Dallas in the postseason? I mean, that's something you have to ask yourself. Would you rather play an upstart Thunder team, potentially at some point in the playoffs? Would you rather have an upstart Thunder team in the playoffs, or Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving? I mean, if you look at it that way, and you are the Grizzlies, maybe you play your starters. Maybe you play them for a half. I don't know. If that game means something to Dallas, maybe you do, maybe you don't. By the way, Mavericks' protest of that call, that controversial call that some might argue cost them a game against the Golden State Warriors on March 22nd. That protest, no shock. They lost. The NBA denied the Mavericks' protest. Dallas protested the 127-125 loss because of their claim officials did not properly administer an out-of-bounds call with approximately 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter, resulting in basically a free basket for Golden State. The league statement read, but the incident occurred with nearly 14 minutes remaining in the game, and Dallas thereafter took the lead twice in the final 4 minutes. The league statement read, in part, under these circumstances, Dallas was not able to show, as required under the standard for NBA game protests, that it was deprived of a fair opportunity to win the game, and the protest failed on that basis alone. Okay, so there you go. That's the... Cuban admitted on Wednesday evening he anticipated the protest would be denied. Quote, "It is what it is. They screwed up," Cuban said. "It happens, but they're not going to replay it." There aren't many protests that have ever been held up, if I sit here and rack my brain and try to remember it. There have not been many protests in the history of sports, period, that have been held up. It just doesn't happen that often. By the way, I mentioned Russell Westbrook. Can I remind Russell Westbrook, don't poke the bear. Granted, the Clippers have owned the Lakers, but I didn't see this last night because I couldn't watch the game because I live 2 hours east of Los Angeles, and for some reason, I still get blacked out every time I want to watch a Lakers or Clippers game. I get blacked out. I'm not allowed to watch those games. At least not with YouTube TV. Well, apparently Russell Westbrook was taunting LeBron James all night. And if I were LeBron, I would have done the Angel Reese thing. I would have just pointed at my hand. Say, "Hey, Russell Westbrook, how many rings you got?" That's what I would have done. I would have just pointed to my hand, pointed to my ring finger. It's great. You want a regular season game. The Clippers have dominated the Clippers have dominated the Lakers long before Russell Westbrook got there. He had 14 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 3 rebounds, a steal, and a block. But I mean, really, it always makes me laugh when there are stars out there that try to poke the bear, so to speak. When somebody would talk trash to Michael Jordan, like Gary Payton talked about Michael Jordan during the NBA Finals between the Sonics and the Bulls. Like, what are you thinking? You got no chance, man. I mean, Gary Payton was one of the great trash talkers in the history of the NBA. But this is Michael Jordan you're talking about. I mean, the guy's going to rip your heart out. And you got Russell Westbrook. It was like Patrick Beverley recently telling LeBron, "You're too small." With Patrick Beverley playing I think he's playing for the Bulls now or something like that. And he was trying to taunt LeBron. And then LeBron just made him look silly. Why would you poke the bear in that instance? I don't get it. Why would you want to wake up the sleeping giant? You want to fly under the radar against those guys. But time and time again, we see athletes who put their ego ahead of what's in the best interests of their team. If I'm a guy, if I'm somebody on the Clippers, I pull Russell Westbrook aside. I'm like, "No, man, don't do that." I'm not taunting one of the best players on the planet, arguably, one of the top 5 players in the history of the game, who, by the way, still averages like 30 a game in his 20th season in the league. It's just silly. All right, if you haven't done so yet, you got a few more minutes, one more segment where we will allow entries for our text-only contest tonight. 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549. We are giving away a mystery prize at the end of the show tonight to one lucky texter. Send me your name, where you're listening to us, and just a random sports thought of the day. You can absolutely send us whatever you want. So I'll have that coming up. Burton in Austin checking in. tonight as well. Thank you for checking in, Burton. All right, we're coming back. The state of Connecticut is in the news, and not for reasons they want to be. We talked about Quinnipiac University making it to the Frozen Four briefly tonight on the show, and how they're going to play in the championship game over the weekend, or Monday, whenever the game is. Well, when we come back, the downside for Connecticut. Stick around. It's next. I doubt it. The hell did that go?
I mean, give me another team in history where one of the star players socked one of the up-and-coming star players right before training camp. Look around the league. Load management's the big issue. The Golden State Warriors, you think they're doing this on purpose with the stinky road record, 9 and 100, it feels like? So, Jason, every team in the history of the league gets this final exam. Let me show you who we really are in the playoffs. And that's the final. I mean, give me another team in history where one of the star players socked one of the up-and-coming.
Walking through the season. When
and it's night and day at home.
All right, I'm going to hold you.
Walking. The bottom line to me is they're getting older, and when that shows up is on the road. Now, I don't believe that to be the case, but it could be a facet, a part of why they're so bad and it's night and day at home.
All right, I'm going to hold you. Because I got cheated by a couple of minutes. By the way, they gave up 79 in the first half to the Thunder the other night, and then gave up 48 in the second half, and that was at home. Anyway, I want to come back and talk about it some more. Daryl Guru Johnson's going to join us for another segment from 95.7 Game in San Francisco. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio.
I mean, give me another team in history where one of the star players.
2:30 means 38:30. I have often made the point that when you overexpose people and put them in positions that they're not accustomed to being in, sometimes free-flowing thoughts, not on a script, they will inevitably get themselves in trouble. Daryl Guru Johnson's going to join us coming up in about 8 minutes. He's our 2-for-1 tonight on the show from 95.7 The Game in San Francisco, their midday host. He does a great job on all things Bay Area and beyond. I want to get his thoughts on the Warriors, baseball in the Bay Area, Aaron Rodgers to the Niners, Lamar Jackson, a whole bunch of things. Love the guy. He'll join us coming up in about 8 minutes. You have about 10 minutes more to get yourself in for the contest tonight. 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549 to get yourself in for the mystery prize. We're going to give it away at the end of the show. Text us your name, where you're listening to us, random sports thought. We will give it away at the end of the show. We'll put the names into the randomizer. Somebody's going to win at the end of the show. Tiny in Honolulu, Hawaii says, wondering if a sports fan from the 50th state has a chance to win this contest. You're entered. Mike in Mililani, Hawaii says 2 shakas and a house it from the Aloha State. Love being on an afternoon drive in Hawaii, where it's, I don't know, what time is it in Hawaii right now? Can you find, hey, Google, what time is it in Hawaii right now? Let's see if Google can tell me. Answer? Yeah. 6:32. I was right. See? There we go. 6:32. They're 3 hours behind where we are in California. 6:32 p.m. Good to be on with you guys in Hawaii tonight. Love our folks listening out there in the Aloha State. Again, 888-670-8549. Last chance to enter. We'll draw the winner at the end of the show. All right. Overexposure. Oh, it's great. Let's put our governor on the wacky FM morning show. The funny part of this story is the headline on ESPN.com reads, Connecticut governor, Houston mayor bicker after Final Four. Anybody who reads that story today will see that the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, who went to Houston and was on hand Monday night to watch UConn topple San Diego State to win their 5th NCAA tournament championship. Well, he talked about his visit this week on WPLR FM's Chaz and AJ show. Now, why is this interesting to me? I'm actually a frequent guest on this show. The 2 guys who host it, Chaz and AJ, are actually very good friends of mine. And I'm on their show quite a bit to talk about sports because I'm originally from Connecticut. And they're good guys. Well, the governor of Connecticut, after going to Houston, now mind you, this is a politician. This is a guy who is the top political leader in the state of Connecticut, who has traveled to Houston for the Final Four. And here's what he says on the radio show, which might just be on the radio in the New Haven area, but we live in an era now where word gets around the country when you say stuff like this. Quote, after winning the semifinals, you walk around downtown Houston, which is butt ugly, the Democrat said. Not much there. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, also a Democrat, responded he did not appreciate the governor, quote, throwing shade at his city after it went to the trouble to, quote, feed you, dine you, host you, house you. And you're going to go back and talk about butt ugly? Which end was he looking from? Turner said on KHOU television in Houston. Now, Lamont made an apology of sorts Thursday after he was asked about his recent comments. Quote, we had a ball in Houston during the NCAA Final Four, and then the backtracking began, blah, blah, blah. Austin Rodriguez, our producer engineer, did you hear about this story? Because you're in Houston. Were people bent out of shape about it? Yeah, I don't. And you know what? As simplistic as Austin made that sound, corny, petty, juvenile. What do you gain out of that as a political leader? There is zero upside to making that statement. I'm not saying impeach the guy. I'm not even saying vote him out of office the next time he's up. But it's one of those things that certainly makes you wonder. You know, in this no filter age we live in, right? That's where we are now, right? Nobody has a filter anymore. You don't have to. Speak your mind. It's okay. Half the people will love you, half the people will hate you anyway, right? That's the era we live in. And apparently that's the era we live in if you're Ned Lamont. Whatever. Not running for president. I'm the governor of Connecticut. Meh. Whatevs, right? Last one before we get to Daryl Guru Johnson. All the best going out to Ben Gordon, the former UConn Husky, former Chicago Bull, played in the league for a while. Kind of a scary story. Arrested by police in Stamford, Connecticut, thus the theme of the segment. TMZ Sports confirming he was taken into custody this week after allegedly threatening juice shop employees with a knife. Cops in Stamford tell TMZ Sports they got a call around 9:15 a.m. that the former NBA star was inside of a downtown area Juice Kings. I've never been to one. I've heard of Jamba Juice, but not Juice Kings. Acting aggressively and bizarrely while yielding a blade. Authorities say officers arrived on the scene quickly, were able to coax the 40-year-old out of the establishment without incident. Say they had to put him in cuffs. Took him to a mental hospital, later was checked out of there. Then he was processed, let out on a $10,000 bond. Hoping all the best for Ben Gordon, that he gets the help he needs. All right, my man Daryl Guru Johnson joins us on the show tonight. He is the 2-for-1 talking about the Golden State Warriors. You can catch him on 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area, middays there, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Guru, tell me why at this point in the season we should have any belief in the Warriors being anything other than what they've been so far, which is terribly inconsistent.
I mean, give me another team in history where one of the star players socked one of the up-and-coming star players right before training camp. Look around the league. Load management's the big issue. The Golden State Warriors, you think they're doing this on purpose with the stinky road record, 9-100 it feels like? So, Jason, every team in the history of the league gets this final exam. Let me show you who we really are in the playoffs. And that's the final exam. There's been some turbulence, but to say it's bad for the league, Nick, that blew my mind. Now, if you want to say Durant coming to the Warriors in 16, which I hated a year off season after they defeated OKC, talk to me. But come on, you got to give this Warrior team a chance. And Jay Wiggins coming back, I don't necessarily – I want it, but is he going to be rusty? And is that going to mess things up? So, I mean, I cannot wait, man. I really cannot.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
9-30 on the road, 33-8 at home.
Okay.
Where I'm struggling with that is a team sleepwalking through the season, because there's no way you can convince me that simply playing on the road makes them that much worse a team. I mean, as I just pointed out, Detroit has 7 wins on the road this year.
No doubt.
And they have 16 wins for the whole season. So help me understand how it isn't simply a team sleepwalking through the season when they're that good at home versus that good on the road. It can't just be load management.
Jason, you're my brother. It's not my job. It is not my job to convince anybody they're not sleepwalking. The bottom line to me is they're getting older, they're defending champs, and if the rumors and whispers are true, they're not connected at the hip. And when that shows up is on the road. Now, I don't believe that to be the case, but it could be a facet, a part of why they're so bad and it's night and day at home.
All right, I'm going to hold you. because I got cheated by a couple of minutes. By the way,
doubt.
they gave up 79 in the first half to the Thunder the other night, and then gave up 48 in the second half, and that was at home. Anyway, I want to come back and talk about it with you some more. Daryl Guru Johnson's going to join us for another segment from 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. What up, my man?
Jay, my bad, bro.
It's all good.
My neighbor's a good guy, older gentleman. And I go, oh, my God, Jason's calling me. So, yeah, I'm back. I'll hang through, man. I miss you.
It's all good. It's all good.
Hey, have you heard Damon's YouTube or – yeah, no.
Daryl Guru John for a couple of minutes.
What's like 4 topics in like 1 minute.
We did the rapid fire version of the old show on 95.7 The Game. That was fun. Oh, God. Love this guy. Daryl Guru Johnson of 95.7 The Game is our guest. You can catch him middays. It's Steiny. Steiny and Guru. Now they're 4 hours, too. 10 to 2. Whew. It's big boy. That's big boy radio, man.
Yeah, I like 3. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I like 3 a lot better too. And I used to do 5 and overnights, and now I do 3 at night.
Would you be by yourself, Jay? You did that by yourself?
I did 5 and overnights by myself.
That's why you're one of the best point guards I've met in the business, bro. And I don't give that out. You are, man. Yeah. You got to be skilled to do that, man. Got it.
It's definitely not for everybody. We'll just say that. We were talking about the Warriors, and like I was saying, I mean, it's hard for me to look at them the other night. I mean, I was crushing them for giving up 79 in the first half at home against Oklahoma City in a game that really actually means something to their playoff hopes. And then they lock it down in the second half, and I think they only gave up like 47 points in the second half en route to really what turned out to be a runaway victory. And that's why it's hard for me to not go with the premise that they're just a team that simply turns it on and off. And again, you mentioned it. They're a veteran team. They sort of know what it takes to win, so they feel like they can do that. Maybe all they think they need to do is make the postseason, and they can make a run.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think it's to that degree, because this will be the first time that they're not, they're starting out on the road. And, Jay, we're 1 game away from tomorrow night. I'll be in the building at SAC from them losing to SAC, and then they be a part of this cockamamie playing game. So, I'm with you. I was offended by that atrocious defense the other night. But, Jay, I don't believe they did that on purpose. This is a mixture of youth. It's also, I keep going to this, Clay didn't play, attrition. But this is what I'll say about the Warriors and why I think they're going to win. Jason, show me a team that is smart and has the IQ, not to beat the Warriors 1 game, 4 out of 7. If you watch their brand of basketball, and I've asked the great minds in the game, why don't other teams try to duplicate what they're doing with the down screens, the cuts? They play a smart brand of basketball, and that's why Wiseman couldn't get it. No shade, and he's in Detroit. But that's going to take over that moxie. So no team, especially the Kings, great story. You think they're going to beat the Warriors 4 out of 7?
Nope.
Denver, Memphis, with the strip club guy? I love you. I had to throw that in there. But you know what I mean? They play a different brand of basketball. And until now, when we talk about the East, Boston again, redemption, and Milwaukee and Phoenix. But I'll tell you, Jay, I don't like what's going on with Middleton in Milwaukee. He exited that game last night after 6 minutes. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but the Warriors, you get the benefit of the doubt when you've done it as many times as they have.
Can I ask you a couple other Bay Area sports questions?
Take me. Go ahead. Fire.
Is this the Oakland A's last season in Oakland?
You know what? I thought it would be, Jason, but I don't think so. Manfred said that situation. Now, I got to back up here. He said this situation will come to a head this season. Right. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did.
So I just don't see him leaving, Jay. And the rumor is that Vegas wouldn't even welcome the A's. Like, baseball is not what football was, or the NBA or hockey to Vegas. I could be wrong, but to answer your question, I almost feel like he's stuck in Oakland.
Really?
Yeah, that's my two cents.
They got to get a stadium, though. That's not a tenable situation.
Well, man, that's just it's embarrassing. And then did you see the report that came out 2 weeks ago? My Pirates and the A's were in like the top 7 Major League Baseball teams that turned a profit for like the A's were like 72 million, and then they put out their Twitter for the A's. Oh, you got to subtract 29 million. Okay, so it was 49, but you're operating like Major League, the movie. It is truly shameful what the Oakland fans got to deal with, man.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It certainly is. One about the Giants here, who have decided to basically go with a small ball team, it feels like. This isn't going to be a team that hits for a lot of power. They're going to rely on pitching, defense, maybe some running. I mean, is that enough to even compete in the National League West when you've got powerhouses like the Dodgers and the San Diego Padres there?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. You know I love the game of baseball. They're playing with a juice ball. I believe that with all these other rule changes. But, Jay, they hit 7 home runs the other day, the Giants. And then today in Chicago against the White Sox, they hit, I think, 4 or 5 more. So I was calling it small ball. But I don't know. It might be the long ball. And if they get that with their pitching, which is just okay, I feel like where they play on that said game or that series, Jay, will go a long way on what they're doing. But right now, they're boring, but they're hitting a whole lot of home runs today. And I think Gabe Kapler, I liked it. He's not a fake activist, that his parents were really, that meant something to him, right and wrong. But he got ran out of Philly because he was a phony. And Jay, when I start hearing him now, I liked him, but I'm starting to think, man, dude, we'll sniff you out here in the Bay. It might take a little longer, but I don't know how long his leash is, man.
Daryl Guru Johnson, our guest, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. You can hear him middays there. Steiny and Guru, the tandem there in 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the West Coast. Hey, give me a thought on, I was talking about this with a couple back-to-back nights. We had Nick Ferguson on, former NFL safety. And we got Jason Cole coming on next hour to join us, who does a great job. Yeah, we're talking about this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, and I'm starting to feel like the longer this drags out, there's a chance that he lands somewhere other than the Jets. And one of the places that keeps obviously coming to mind for obvious reasons, given his ties to Berkeley, is the 49ers. What is the conversation like in the Bay Area as it relates to Rodgers and the possibility that the Niners swoop in here at the 11th hour and try to get him?
You know what? He's bitter that they didn't draft him. All right, we know that. They took Alex Smith. And Aaron Rodgers, I forget LeBron, move over. You are the biggest narcissist I've ever seen in professional sports. But to your question, today, the whispers, the conversation started like, could Kyle go get him and bring him in? Jason, I think it's a long shot, but I'll tell you this. If I'm a Jet fan, I'm pissed off. And I'm pissed off because I'm starting to feel like this dude played us because what's taking so long, unless he's waking up watching the national shows, feeling good about him being talked about. But it would be everything if you got Aaron Rodgers to throw to Debo, Ayuk, and hand it off to McCaffrey and George Kittle. That would be wow. I just don't know if it happens, but I'm telling you, John Madden, rest in peace, said if you got three of one thing, you don't have one. I'm not mad at Darnold. He's kind of failed as a starter. Trey Lance, I never liked him. Purdy was a great story, but now his arm is wrecked. I mean, I could really see something go down if they could pull this off and bring Aaron Rodgers home. My goodness.
Let me ask you one before I let you go, because we were just talking about before we came back from the break. Lamar Jackson, what do you make of it?
I got to be careful here, but he's a black man and so am I. So there's no racial thing involved, but he's being stupid. He's not reading the room. You're playing yourself. And the NFL told everybody before your contract situation jumped off, Deshaun Watson's contract was a mistake. And for whatever reason, I feel like he's on Twitter, TikTok, trying to get the biggest quarterback contract when, one, your passing ability, you're deficient. It is obvious you were deficient, but yet you're pulling this card as if, you're Joe Montana. I don't know what's going on, and I see him holding out, and he's going to hold out for the worst reason, Jay, because of pride. I'm with Baltimore. I don't know if you heard the GM I think today or yesterday. Hey, yeah, we got a quarterback on our draft board. We'll draft him. I think he's playing himself. And why? I'll leave you with this. Why isn't the line around the corner like it would be if Aaron Rodgers were available? Lamar has a false sense of self-worth, man. I really believe that.
I agree with you. I think that's a perfect place to leave it, because I'm 100% in agreement with you. And I've had arguments with so many different people about this who want to sit there and tell me that Lamar Jackson's worth every penny. He's won an MVP. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that he's missed 12 games the last 2 years. His completion
of the last 2 seasons.
He's primarily a running quarterback, and that's not something you could do forever.
Yeah,
he's 1-2 in the playoffs. Oh, I'm with you on it. I know.
Yeah, I'm with you. Last thing, and I don't think receivers want to play with them.
I agree with that. And that everybody talks about, well, why don't the Ravens go get anybody? Nobody wants to play there.
Right. No doubt, Jay.
Daryl Guru Johnson, catch him over in middays, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Always good to talk to you, my friend. Don't be a stranger.
I love you, man. Stay in touch, Jay. You're my guy.
Yeah. We'll wrap up this first hour We got a lot to do in the second hour
All
of
right,
the show.
we've put the names in the randomizer. Let's see who wins the mystery gift tonight. There we go. We got the drum roll. Nice job, Austin. I didn't even tell you. Shane in Dallas, listening on 97.1 The Freak. An hour east in Tyler. You're our winner. Shane, you're getting a $25 Visa gift card. Congratulations. Thanks for listening to the show. We'll see you tomorrow on the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Bye. Got out just in time. All right, my man. Have a good night. Thanks. Oh, God. What does that smell? Oh, my God. Oh. Dog came next to me and just farted something awful. Stunk up the whole area. Oh, my God. That is brutal, dude. How you do that? Jesus, Dookie. Why don't you just take a shit in my lap? Wow. That is brutal. That's going to do it for us tonight. Boy, what a great note to end the show on. Get the dog just farting next to me. Woo. That is vicious. That is vicious. We'll see you back here on Friday. Congrats to Shane in Dallas. He wins the gift card. I'll see you on Friday. That's going to do it for us. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for watching the Cash In. Thanks for listening to the Cash In. SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Have a great night.